The Galactic Council hall was built to impress. Its ceiling shimmered like liquid glass, and the air hummed with energy from 1,000 translation nodes. Representatives from 200 alien worlds sat in perfect order, their scales, feathers, and chitin reflecting the blue light from the chamber's dome. But despite the grand design, the air felt tense. Too still, too quiet. The humans had arrived. Admiral Liana Hayes stepped into the hall, her uniform simple, yet commanding. Behind her, 2 Terran diplomats followed in silence, their faces unreadable. Every alien eye turned toward them. Humanity's flag, white and gold against deep navy, was projected above their seats, flickering slightly as if resisting the Council's systems. For weeks, the Council had demanded that humanity surrender, its outer colonies claiming they disrupted the balance of peace. To them, humans were a young species, reckless and emotional, unfit to claim territory beyond Sol. They thought this meeting would calm things down. They were wrong. Liana looked across the oval table where the Council sat. At the center, High Speaker Threx of the Vunari gestured with his long crystalline fingers. "We are gathered," he began in a cold voice, "to bring humanity to reason. The expansion of your fleets beyond neutral zones threatens galactic stability. We ask once more, will humanity comply?" The Admiral did not sit. She didn't even blink. Her gaze moved slowly from one alien to another, letting the silence stretch. The translator nodes struggled to capture her tone when she finally spoke. "You ask humanity to stop breathing where there's air," she said softly. "To stop dreaming where there's light. You call that peace. We call it control." A murmur rippled through the assembly. The Vunari representative's gem-like skin darkened. "Control?" he hissed. "You misunderstand. The Council maintains order for the benefit of all." "Order?" Liana interrupted, her voice calm, but sharp as steel. "You call it order when our colonists are ambushed by your patrol fleets, when your blockade starves children on Europa's outposts, when your agents sabotage our stations in the Orion Spur." The Council chamber fell silent again. The aliens exchanged glances. Humanity had come not to apologize, but to accuse. One of the reptilian delegates clicked his jaws. "You have no proof of such claims. These are misunderstandings of procedure." Liana smiled faintly. "Then I'll keep it simple," she said, her eyes meeting Threx's cold gaze. "Humanity will no longer participate in your council. From this moment, we walk away." The translator paused as if unsure it had heard correctly. The words echoed through the vast chamber, clear and final. Every alien voice rose at once. Questions, protests, outrage. But the humans had already turned toward the exit. As they reached the archway, Threx's voice cut through the noise. "You cannot leave, Admiral. You signed the Concord of Peace. You are bound by it." Liana stopped. Her boots clicked softly against the polished floor as she turned back. "The Concord died the day you used peace to hide fear," she said. "You wanted obedience, not unity. You'll find humanity obeys no one." She left. The heavy doors sealed behind her with a hollow echo that lingered like a closing tomb. Outside the council hall, the Terran escort ships hovered silently in orbit. Their hulls glowed faintly under the starlight of the capital world, Vurath Prime. Thousands of alien onlookers stared from the surface, watching as the Terran fleet aligned for departure. It was said that when humans moved in silence, something terrible followed. Inside the flagship Resolute Dawn, Captain Idris Chen stood at the viewing deck, watching the blue horizon fade behind them. "You think they'll come after us, ma'am?" he asked quietly. Liana didn't answer at first. Her eyes remained fixed on the stars, her reflection faint in the glass. "They will," she said finally. "They can't stand not being in control. But this time, when they do—" She paused, her tone darkening. "They'll learn what price peace really costs." Across the galaxy, the council chamber erupted in chaos. The High Speaker's voice cut through the uproar, demanding sanctions, blockades, and isolation. "If humans refuse the council," Threx declared, They will face the consequences of rebellion. We will remind them who governs this galaxy. But in their arrogance, they forgot something vital. Humanity had never needed permission to survive. The species that had walked through nuclear fire and silence, that had rebuilt from ashes, didn't fear isolation. It thrived in it. Back aboard Resolute Dawn, Liana received a message from Earth Command. The hologram flickered with a simple statement. You did the right thing. Prepare for response. A faint tremor of anticipation passed through the crew. Every soldier, engineer, and navigator felt it. The quiet before the storm, as the Terran fleet jumped into the black void, their engines carved streaks of light across the stars. The galaxy had demanded obedience. Humanity had answered with silence, and that silence would soon echo louder than any weapon. The Council believed the humans had walked away defeated. They couldn't see the storm gathering beyond their borders, and in that darkness, where no law reached and no council held power, 1,000 human ships began to move. Silent, coordinated, ready, because humanity never walks away forever. The day after humanity walked away, the Galactic Council called an emergency assembly. The chamber that once echoed with calm diplomacy now buzzed with tension and fear. Alien leaders argued, their translators overlapping in a storm of voices. What no one wanted to admit out loud was clear. The balance of the galaxy had just broken. High-speaker Threx of the Venari struck his crystalline staff against the floor, silencing the noise. His translucent eyes glowed. Humanity believes they can defy us without consequence, he said, his tone sharp. We will show them their mistake. The Council's fleets will enforce compliance. From the shadows of the chamber, the Kelrathi representative, a tall, furred predator with amber eyes, shifted uneasily. And if they resist? He asked. They are unpredictable. They do not fear death as we do. They will not resist, Threx replied confidently. They are isolated now, without trade, without allies. They will learn their place, but deep down even he wasn't sure. He remembered the look in Admiral Liana Hayes' eyes, the calm defiance of a species that had endured extinction more than once. It wasn't the look of a defeated people. It was a warning. Far from the shining capital of Vorath Prime, humanity was already preparing. At the edge of Sol's defense network, Earth's orbital yards lit up the void like a second sun. Hundreds of construction platforms worked tirelessly, assembling new warships under strict silence protocols. No broadcasts, no public announcements. Every order came through encoded bursts known only to Terran Command. Inside the command station New Dawn, Admiral Hayes stood before a holographic map of the galaxy. Blue markers represented human colonies, small, scattered, but self-sufficient. Red lines showed the expanding Council blockade routes tightening around them. The circle was closing. Captain Idris Chen entered the room, his boots quiet on the steel floor. They've cut our trade lanes again, he reported. Cargo ships from Mars were intercepted. Council fleets are claiming they're enforcing peace. Liana's jaw tightened. Peace, she repeated almost bitterly. They always use that word before drawing a gun. He hesitated. Ma'am, Earth Command wants to know if we'll retaliate. The Admiral turned slowly toward him, her expression calm but her eyes fierce. Not yet, she said. Let them believe we're retreating. Let them grow comfortable. She zoomed the holographic map outward until the entire galactic sector glowed before them. When the time comes, we'll remind them why humanity never surrenders twice. Outside the station's viewport, rows of newly forged ships floated in silence, sleek, angular, dark as obsidian. Each hull bore the same white emblem, a stylized human hand clutching a torch, the emblem of the Terran Unity Fleet. On the other side of the galaxy, Council fleets mobilized. Thousands of alien ships gathered at choke points around human space. The media networks of 100 species broadcasted the same message. The Council restores order, but not everyone believed it. In the far colonies of the Council worlds, whispers began to spread, stories of human kindness, of colonies rebuilt after disaster, of medicine shared freely, of explorers who never asked for tribute or control. Some aliens began to wonder, were the humans really the threat? Or was the Council simply afraid of losing power? A young alien engineer named Kyle working aboard a neutral trading station, overheard the rumors while adjusting a docking array. He had met humans once, miners from Ceres, kind but weary. "They don't act like conquerors," Kale muttered. "They just want to be left alone." "Careful, Kale," his supervisor warned. "Speaking for humans is dangerous talk these days." Meanwhile, in the darkness between stars, Admiral Hayes received an encrypted transmission from Earth Command. The screen flickered, showing the face of a senior official cloaked in shadow. "Admiral," the voice said, "Operation Veil is approved. Begin preparations." Her breath caught slightly. "Understood," she replied. "The galaxy won't see us coming. Operation Veil, the hidden project that even the Council's spies couldn't trace. Rumors said it involved stealth technology that bent light itself, engines that left no trace, and weapons that could silence a planet without firing a shot." That night, standing alone in her cabin, Liana gazed at Earth's reflection through the viewport. She thought of the negotiations, the endless lies, the fake promises, the way the Council smiled while tightening chains around human colonies. She remembered the last words she spoke in the Council Hall. "You'll find humanity obeys no one." Now those words were no longer a statement. They were prophecy. Back on Virith Prime, High Speaker Threx met privately with his inner circle. "We must act before humanity regains strength," he said. "Strike their colonies. Force them to surrender before their defiance spreads." One of his aides hesitated. "But if we strike first, the other species may question the Council's purpose." Threx's eyes glimmered. "Then we'll call it a containment measure. A humanitarian action. The words don't matter, only the result." Within hours, fleets were dispatched toward the human colonies near Vega, Orion, and Tau Ceti. The Council believed it would be a short campaign, a show of power to make humanity crawl back. But as the fleets advanced, their sensors began picking up strange distortions, shadows moving where there should be none, energy readings that didn't match any known profile. Entire patrol ships vanished from scanners without a trace. "What's happening?" a Kelrathi commander barked. No answer came. Only silence and then static. When the transmissions finally reached Virith Prime, they were brief and terrifying. Unknown contacts. Human signatures. Entire fleet gone. Threx froze as the words reached him. His confidence cracked for the first time. Humanity had vanished from the Council's control, yes, but not from the galaxy. They had simply gone quiet. And in that silence, something vast was awakening. Back on Resolute Dawn, Admiral Hayes watched a formation of invisible ships glide into position. She smiled faintly and whispered, "They think we walked away. They never realized we were just stepping back to strike." In the distance, the stars flickered, as if something enormous moved between them. The galaxy had demanded obedience. Humanity had chosen silence. Now silence was about to answer back. The silence of deep space hid many secrets, but none as dangerous as the one humanity was building. In the shadows of forgotten systems where the Council's reach faltered, colossal structures floated quietly. They weren't warships, at least not yet. They were something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. Inside the construction dock of Erebus Station, engineers worked in near darkness, the hum of plasma welders echoing through the metallic corridors. Massive steel ribs curved like the bones of titans, and each beam was stamped with the emblem of the Terran Unity Fleet. Admiral Liana Hayes stood on an observation platform, her face illuminated by the soft blue glow of holographic schematics. She watched as an enormous vessel took shape beneath her, a black angular silhouette that seemed to absorb the light around it. The first of the new generation, a dreadnought built not for defense but deterrence. Captain Idris Chen approached, his uniform coated in the faint dust of construction. "The prototype's nearly complete," he said. "No emissions, no heat trail. We could sail through a Council patrol and they'd never see us." Liana nodded slowly. "Good. The longer they underestimate us, the better." Across the galaxy, the Council still debated how to respond. Their fleets had lost contact with 2 task groups near Vega and another near Orion. Threx of the Vunari tried to calm the panic, calling it technical issues. But whispers spread. The images retrieved from the wreckage showed something terrifying. Ships sliced clean in half. Systems dead before the first distress signal went out. No one could explain it. During an emergency broadcast, the Council presented a united front. Threx appeared before a galaxy-wide audience, his voice calm and authoritative. Human forces have violated galactic peace, he declared. We urge all species to report human vessels immediately. The Council will protect civilization from this threat. Billions watched, but some saw through it. Traders, explorers, and colonists who had once worked beside humans knew the truth. The Council had provoked them. On the remote moon of Sestara, a group of alien miners tuned into the broadcast. The eldest among them, a scarred veteran of old wars, shook his head. They call it peace now, he muttered. I fought beside humans once. They only draw a blade when pushed too far. Back in human space, the first transmission from Operation Veil was about to be sent. In a dim communications room aboard Resolute Dawn, Ensign Mira Yates monitored encrypted signals. The air felt heavy as if the ship itself held its breath. Message ready, Admiral, she said. Liana leaned forward. Send it to every major council relay, she ordered. Within minutes, across dozens of worlds, a single message appeared on every council network. No signature, no identification, just 12 words written in stark white against black space. We asked for peace. You demanded submission. The price will be yours. The message spread faster than the council could contain it. Citizens on alien worlds began asking questions. Protests erupted in border colonies. Merchants refused to trade under council sanctions. And through it all, the humans remained silent, watching. Inside the council's core command chamber, High Speaker Threx stared at the projection of those words. His advisors argued behind him, demanding retaliation. Strike Earth, one shouted. Destroy their colonies before they regroup. Threx raised his hand for silence. No, he said slowly. That is exactly what they want. They want us to lash out to justify their defiance. Yet even he felt uneasy. For all his power and influence, Threx couldn't shake the feeling that the humans had planned everything from the start. Their silence wasn't retreat, it was preparation. Meanwhile, deep within the asteroid field of Alpha Centauri, human ships gathered. One by one, they emerged from the dark. Frigates, carriers, cruisers, each carrying the same encrypted insignia, Project Retribution. Captain Chen stood beside the Admiral on the command deck as dozens of ships formed ranks outside. They've pushed every frontier we have, he said. Vega's colonies are gone. Our people were left to die. How long do we wait? Liana's gaze hardened. Until they think we're broken, she replied. Then we remind them who we are. The ship's AI, Solace, chimed softly. Admiral, Council surveillance probes have entered the Centauri perimeter. Liana's voice remained steady. Bring them in. Moments later, the probe's feeds lit up across the main screen, showing hundreds of Council ships moving closer. Their formation was perfect, their confidence absolute. But what they didn't know was that every signal they sent was already being tracked, every movement anticipated. Chen frowned. They'll see us soon. They already have, Liana said quietly. And that's what they were meant to see. She gave the order. Activate the decoys. In an instant, thousands of fake human signatures appeared across the sector. Council sensors went haywire. To them, it looked as if humanity's fleet had multiplied overnight. Dozens of ghost armadas spreading like wildfire. Panic spread through the alien ships as their captains struggled to identify what was real. Impossible, one alien commander shouted over comms. They can't be everywhere. But they were, or at least it looked that way. The Resolute Dawn slipped away unseen while the Council wasted resources chasing phantoms. Humanity had just turned invisibility into a weapon. Later, in her private quarters, Liana watched the live feeds in silence. Every Council move, every false alarm, it all played out like a game of chess she had already won. But her expression wasn't proud. It was grim. This isn't what we wanted, she whispered. We tried to talk. We tried to belong, but they never saw us as equals. Captain Chen entered quietly. Maybe it's time they see what we become when they don't. Outside, beyond the ship's hull, the unfinished dreadnought from Erebus Station emerged from warp. Its hull glowed with faint silver light, its design unlike any human craft before it. The galaxy would soon learn its name, the Aegis of Sol. And when it moved, even the stars seemed to dim. Back in the Council chamber, reports flooded in of ghost fleets and silent attacks. Threx slammed his staff against the floor. Find them, he roared. Find where they're hiding. But the answer was already too late. For in the deep void between the stars, humanity had sent its final warning. The next move would not be words. The galaxy had grown quiet, too quiet for comfort. Council patrols vanished without trace. Communication relays failed, and supply routes flickered with static. The official reports called it technical interference. The captains who survived called it something else. Retribution. On Vurath Prime, High Speaker Threx stood before the central holomap, his crystalline fingers twitching as he watched red icons blink out one by one. 27 fleets in 6 cycles, his aide whispered fearfully. They're not just hiding, sir. They're hunting. Threx's composure cracked for the first time. It's impossible. Humanity doesn't have the resources. They can't. But deep down he knew they could. Humans didn't need vast fleets to win. They needed motive, and now they had one. Thousands of light years away, Admiral Liana Hayes watched from the command bridge of the Resolute Dawn. The stars shimmered across the viewpane as the fleet drifted through a quiet sector between Council territories. Her eyes never left the holographic projection of the galaxy. Red dots, enemy fleets blinked, then vanished, replaced by silent gaps in space. Captain Idris Chen entered quietly. 3 more convoys intercepted, ma'am. No survivors. The Council's blaming pirates. Good, Liana said softly. Let them lie to themselves a little longer. Her voice carried no pride, only resolve. Humanity hadn't wanted this war, but once started, they refused to lose it. The first retaliation came without warning. A Council logistics hub orbiting the trade world of Averon 6 suddenly lost power. Seconds later, every ship docked at its ports detonated in a chain of fire that lit the night sky. Observers described the explosion as a new sunrise. 2 days later, a Council communications array near the Cradle Nebula reported seeing shadows moving through the void, massive shapes that didn't appear on radar. The technicians thought it was a malfunction until the shadows opened fire. In less than an hour, an entire defense grid was gone. No one saw the attackers leave. No one heard their engines. Only wreckage and silence remained. The galaxy began to whisper again, about ghosts, about vengeance, about humanity. Meanwhile, the Aegis of Sol was nearing completion at Erebus Station. Standing within its colossal hangar, engineers and soldiers gathered in silence as the final hull plates locked into place. The dreadnought was unlike anything before it. Built from adaptive alloy, its surface shimmered between colors, blending with the void. It carried weapons the Council couldn't imagine: gravitic lances, kinetic singularities, and defense grids powered by controlled dark matter. When Admiral Hayes arrived for inspection, the workers stood at attention. Captain Chen joined her, eyes wide. "She's beautiful," he said. Liana nodded, her tone low. "She's not built for beauty, Captain. She's built for memory." He frowned slightly. "Memory?" "Yes," she said. "So they remember the cost of arrogance." Moments later, the Aegis of Sol came alive. The hangar trembled as its engines powered up, emitting a low, resonant hum that vibrated through the bones. The dreadnought's lights flickered to life one by one, until it stood glowing like a newborn star. "Admiral," came a voice from command. "Council fleets are amassing near Tau Ceti. They've declared a containment blockade." Liana turned toward the window, watching distant lights shimmer across space. "Containment?" she repeated. "Then let's show them what they're trying to contain." Hours later, the fleet jumped. At Tau Ceti, Council ships waited in perfect formation. Thousands of vessels, gleaming silver and gold, armed with plasma batteries, drones, and ion cannons. They believed they were hunting a scattered enemy. Instead, they found the storm. The human fleet appeared without warning, silent as ghosts. No broadcast, no challenge, just the sudden presence of death. The Aegis of Sol emerged at the front, its hull bending light shimmering like liquid metal. "Contact," cried a Council officer. "Unknown signature, size classification, super dreadnought." Before the fleet could react, a pulse of light erupted from the Aegis. It wasn't a beam, it was a ripple of pure gravity. The first wave slammed into the nearest alien ships, crushing them inward like paper under a fist. Dozens of vessels imploded in seconds, collapsing into glowing fragments that scattered like dust. The remaining ships opened fire. Plasma bolts streaked across space, lighting up the void in 1,000 colors. The Resolute Dawn and her escorts moved through it like dancers in a storm, dodging, countering, striking with precision. Captain Chen's voice echoed through comms. "Admiral, their formation's breaking." "Good," she replied. "Push them back, but leave survivors. Let them carry the message." As the battle raged, one of the enemy flagships, an enormous Vunari command cruiser, broadcast a desperate signal. "Cease fire! Cease fire!" "Humanity, we can negotiate." But the humans didn't answer. Not with words. The Aegis of Sol rotated slowly, its main weapon charging again. A blinding surge of energy rippled through the void, and the flagship vanished, its signal cut off mid-sentence. When the light faded, the battlefield was silent. Thousands of alien ships were gone, drifting ruins glowing against the black. The human fleet didn't stay to celebrate. They turned and vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind only fragments and fear. Across the galaxy, the news spread faster than light. The Council's greatest fleet had been annihilated by an enemy that didn't even speak. On Virath Prime, Threx's reflection trembled in the Council chamber glass. He stared at the casualty reports, at the video feeds of fire and silence. "Impossible," he whispered. "How can they be everywhere?" "They aren't everywhere," his aide said softly. "They're just where it matters." Meanwhile, on the bridge of the Aegis of Sol, Admiral Hayes looked at the fading stars. Her crew stood in quiet awe, waiting for her words. "This isn't victory," she said finally. "This is a warning. Let them understand it before it's too late." She turned to Chen. "Prepare a message. To every Council world, every channel." "What should it say?" he asked. Her eyes glimmered with cold light. "Tell them humanity is done walking away." As the fleet vanished into the void once more, their signal echoed across the stars, unstoppable, undeniable, and the galaxy finally realized what it had awakened. The transmission from Admiral Hayes spread through the galaxy like wildfire. It couldn't be stopped. It couldn't be silenced. Every inhabited world, from the glittering cities of the Council Core to the frozen mines of the frontier, heard the same calm human voice. "We offered peace. You chose control. Humanity walks alone now, and the stars will remember this day." For most species, those words felt like prophecy. For the Council, they felt like judgment. On Virath Prime, the great capital of the Galactic Council, the chamber that once echoed with arrogance now trembled with fear. High Speaker Threx stood before a gathering of alien representatives, his translucent face pale under the dome's light. "The humans have gone too far," he declared, his voice brittle but loud. "They have unleashed weapons beyond reason. This is not vengeance, it is annihilation." From the far corner, a grizzled Drenari general hissed in response. "Perhaps annihilation is exactly what we deserve. We pushed them. We thought them weak. And now the Council fleets burn in silence." The hall filled with uneasy murmurs. For the first time in recorded history, unity among the Council species began to fracture. Some called for surrender, others for retaliation. But deep within their words was something new: doubt, the kind that spreads like rot. Meanwhile, humanity was not celebrating. Aboard the Aegis of Sol, Admiral Hayes stood in the command gallery, watching a wall of holographic reports stream by. Wreckage locations, intercepted Council communications, planetary distress calls. Her expression was calm, but her heart felt heavy. Each glowing red icon meant lives lost. Not just alien, but human too. Captain Chen entered quietly. "The Council's in chaos. Several member species are breaking away. Some are offering truce, the rest, they're preparing counterattacks." Liana nodded slowly. "Fear makes them desperate. They'll fight harder now." She turned toward the viewport where Earth glowed faintly in the distance, wrapped in the safety of its defense ring. "We won this battle, not the war." "Not yet." Chen hesitated before speaking again. "Admiral, there's another problem. Council spies captured one of our outposts near Vega. They found fragments of Operation Veil data. If they decrypt it," Liana's voice dropped, cold as vacuum, "then they'll know what comes next." What came next was something even the humans weren't certain of: Project Dawnfire. It was the hidden hand behind all of humanity's new technology, a convergence of science and strategy that could reshape entire systems. A weapon designed not to destroy but to erase the idea of resistance. Far across the galaxy, in a dim underground vault on Virath Prime, Council scientists worked frantically on a countermeasure. A massive holographic model of the human dreadnought floated above their table. "They bend light around their hulls," said a scaled researcher with trembling hands. "Our sensors cannot detect them." Another slammed his claws on the table. Then we blind them with gravitational interference, create false distortions. But that will cripple our own navigation. Better to fly blind than die silent. Above them, thunder shook the surface of the city. The humans had not attacked, yet the sky itself trembled under the weight of rumor. No one trusted the stars anymore. At that same moment, on resolute dawn, Admiral Hayes stood before her officers. "We don't strike first again," she said firmly. "Not this time. We hold our line. Let them come to us. Let them see what they've built with their arrogance." But deep inside, she knew peace was slipping away. Fear had already taken root in every corner of the galaxy. And fear always demanded blood. Then came the moment that changed everything. An encrypted transmission broke through the human defense net. Origin unknown. It wasn't council code, but it wasn't human either. It was a hybrid signal, stitched from human and alien frequencies. "This is Kale," the voice said, trembling but clear. "I am Venari engineer. I helped build your translation systems long ago. The council is planning something catastrophic. They call it Project Eclipse. They mean to darken your suns." The bridge went silent. Liana stepped closer. "Repeat that," she said. "They plan to use solar dampeners," Kale explained. "Devices that can absorb stellar radiation and kill entire systems without firing a single shot. They'll target Sol first, to break your spirit." Captain Chen cursed under his breath. "They're insane." Hayes stared into the void beyond the glass. For a moment, the galaxy felt smaller. "Then we stop them," she said quietly. Kale's voice broke slightly. "You can't fight what you can't see, but I know where the prototype is being tested. The coordinates are encoded in this transmission." The message cut out abruptly, leaving static. Within minutes, humanity's fleet was in motion. Ships jumped from every corner of human space, converging toward the hidden coordinates, a dying red star near the rim, surrounded by a graveyard of asteroids. As the Aegis of Sol arrived, sensors picked up faint energy readings. Captain Chen frowned at the display. "No defense signatures. It's abandoned." Liana's instinct screamed otherwise. "No," she said. "They're here. They're waiting." Her words proved true a moment later. From behind the shadow of a shattered moon, an armada of alien vessels emerged, sleek, silver, glimmering with false light. At the center of their formation hung a structure unlike anything human eyes had seen before. A dark, spiked orb humming with power. "The Eclipse device. Targets locked," reported the weapons officer. "They're charging the array." Liana raised her hand. "Hold fire, Admiral," Chen asked in disbelief. "Let them think they've caught us off guard," she said calmly. "I want the entire fleet in silent formation." "Wait until they commit." Outside, the alien armada began to glow, their ships aligning around the device like worshippers before an altar. A low hum rolled through space. The dying star nearby began to dim, and then at the edge of that fading light, the Aegis of Sol revealed itself. Its hull shimmered into view, silver against red, engines burning like suns. "Now," Liana said. The dreadnought's main cannon fired. A beam of compressed gravity tore through space, striking the Eclipse device dead center. It shattered like glass under a hammer, and the explosion that followed illuminated the entire system in white fire. For miles, alien ships disintegrated into vapor. The Council fleet fractured, scattering in chaos. In the command silence that followed, Liana spoke only 3 words. "Send the message." Within hours, her transmission reached the Council capital. "You tried to darken our sun. Now the light will come for you." The Council chamber fell into stunned silence. Threx could only stare at the message, his reflection flickering in the holographic glow. For the first time in his life, he felt small, and somewhere far away, among the ashes of the shattered moon, the human fleet vanished into hyperspace, silent, disciplined, unstoppable. The galaxy had crossed the point of no return. The galaxy had stopped sleeping. Every world, every orbiting city, every council station remained under a constant shimmer of alert beacons. Humanity's message, cold, clear, and final, had reached them all. "You tried to darken our sun. Now the light will come for you." In the halls of the Galactic Council, the great dome that once symbolized unity now stood fractured, its lights dimmed. High Speaker Threx sat alone at the center table, surrounded by silence. The chamber's emptiness felt heavier than any warship. Delegates had stopped attending. Worlds had stopped listening. The Council was dissolving, not through invasion, but through fear. A small projection flickered to life before him, showing the remains of the fleet at the eclipse site. Shattered hulls drifted among the stars like broken glass, their engines frozen mid-flight. They destroyed everything, Threx whispered. All our strength gone. His aide spoke softly. It's worse, sir. Their fleets never stay long enough for retaliation. They strike and vanish. Threx clenched his crystal fist until cracks formed in its surface. How can ghosts destroy empires? But far from the council capital aboard the Aegis of Sol, humanity wasn't celebrating. Admiral Liana Hayes stood at the central viewport, watching the star lines stretch as her fleet glided through warp. Her reflection in the glass was sharp but weary. Around her, the bridge glowed faintly blue from holographic displays, showing intercepted transmissions and data from alien systems. Captain Idris Chen approached, a datapad in hand. Reports are flooding in, he said. Council fleets retreating from border sectors. Some worlds are even surrendering without contact. They're abandoning their posts. Liana nodded but didn't smile. They're not surrendering to us, Chen. They're surrendering to fear. That's not victory. It's decay. He studied her quietly. You sound like you regret it. I don't regret walking away, she said. I regret that they made us prove why they should have let us. Outside, the fleet drifted past the glowing remains of an asteroid colony once used by the Council as a listening post. It was abandoned now, its corridors filled with drifting debris, its signal towers dark. The galaxy had grown silent again, but this time it wasn't peace. It was the silence before history rewrote itself. Back on Virith Prime, Threx convened what remained of the Council, only 9 species out of 200. We cannot fight them conventionally, he admitted, his pride stripped away. Our fleets are blind. Our sensors useless. We are defenseless. One of the reptilian delegates hissed bitterly. Then negotiate, Speaker. Beg if we must. Threx stared at him with hollow eyes. You think they would listen now? After centuries of being dismissed and threatened? Humanity remembers everything. But even as he spoke, something unexpected happened. Every star system across the Council network flickered. Broadcast relays came online, unbidden, uninvited. Then on every screen a human face appeared. It was Liana Hayes. Calm, controlled. No threat in her tone, but something more powerful. Disappointment. To the Council, she said, this is not conquest. Humanity has no empire to build. We have no interest in ruling your worlds. But we will no longer tolerate the illusion of your peace. You called our restraint weakness. You called our patience naivety. You were wrong. Her voice echoed through every chamber, every home. The galaxy will rebuild, but not under your flag. The age of forced unity ends today. Stand free or fall alone. Your choice. Then the broadcast ended. For the first time in recorded history, the Council received no demands, no conditions, only truth. In the weeks that followed, fractures became collapse. Dozens of Council worlds declared independence. Trade collapsed. The Vunari fleets disbanded. Power crumbled faster than any weapon could destroy it, but even as their empire fell, Threx refused to flee. He sat in the once grand chamber, staring up at the fading hologram of the Council's crest. Around him the city lights dimmed one by one. He whispered to the empty hall, You warned us, didn't you? You told us we'd pay the price. He raised his head toward the sky, where the faint glow of a Terran ship flickered in orbit. And we did. Meanwhile, the Aegis of Sol entered orbit around Earth for the first time since the war began. The planet shone beneath them, blue, calm, alive. Humanity's home still stood untouched. The crew gathered in silence as they watched. For all the battles, all the losses, Earth was still their reason. Captain Chen turned to the Admiral. The Council's gone. What happens now? Liana didn't answer immediately. She stepped closer to the viewport, her reflection merging with the Earth below. Now, she said quietly. We make sure no one ever needs to fight like this again. He nodded slowly. And if they come back? She looked at him, her eyes steady. Then we remind them what silence costs. Down on Earth, cities glowed under golden light. Families reunited. Scientists began dismantling the wartime projects, turning weapons into energy systems, dreadnoughts into exploration vessels. The human race had proven its strength, but what came next would prove its character. As the fleet drifted above the planet, Admiral Hayes sent one final transmission into the stars. It wasn't addressed to the Council. It wasn't even addressed to enemies. To whoever listens among the stars, remember this. Humanity never sought dominance. We sought respect. We walked away when peace became a lie, and when you pushed us, we didn't rise out of hate, but survival. Let that be the lesson written in the void. Her voice faded into the static of space, carried beyond the rim of known worlds. In the shattered remains of the Council archives, historians would one day call it the Silent War, a conflict fought not with endless battles but with the weight of choices. A reminder that even the smallest voice, when silenced too long, can shake empires. And so the galaxy changed. The Council fell. The humans did not conquer, they simply endured. Their fleets faded back into the darkness they came from, unseen yet ever present, guardians of a fragile peace bought with too much pain. High above the earth, the Aegis of Sol rotated slowly, its metallic surface catching the sunrise. It was said that on quiet nights you could still see it from the ground, a silver glimmer among the stars, a symbol of humanity's promise. Not to rule, not to destroy, but to never bow again.